All right, now we're live. So I'm just gonna wait for the live chat to fill up a little bit. This is a really big topic, so just gonna let some people come in. Also, want to try and pick some things up. If anybody wants to come in, if you want a link, just let me know, and the link will be provided to you. If I can probably send it to your email, or if you can probably send it to mine. All right, so let's pretty much get into it. So you got XXXTentacion, you got Lil Peep, and now you have what's this guy's name? Mac Miller. All dying one after the other, back to back to back to back to back. This is tough, man. This is definitely tough. Man, I remember when I was in about 10th grade, the first Mac Miller song I ever heard was Donald Trump. One of the first songs by Mac Miller I ever heard. And I think that was actually one of his hits. And after a while, I began to listen to who else did I listen to frequently? I have definitely heard a few songs from XXXTentacion. And the other guy, Lil Peep. I don't think I've heard any of his music, but all great artists nonetheless. I do want to say condolences to Mac Miller's friends and family. And so it's been a big thing in Hollywood, right? Where people go and they have these overdoses, and sometimes they don't die. Sometimes they have an overdose, like Demi Levato. Demi Levato just recently had an overdose, and she goes to the hospital, and they fix her up, they patch her up, and they're good. Sometimes they go and they get rehab. They go and try and get rehabilitated to go back into society, and that doesn't always work. So, Demi Levato, she had a drug overdose as well, right, a couple weeks ago, but she didn't die. And the only difference between Demi Levato and Mac Miller is Mac Miller, he died in his overdose, and Demi Lovato lived. And the reactions to both of their, you could say, activities have been very different. So a lot of people have been laughing at Demi Lovato for her overdose. A lot of people have been making memes in response to Demi Lovato's overdose and Mac Miller's overdose. People thought it was funny. People thought, when Mac Miller's overdose, people don't think it's funny. People are taking it more seriously, but it's both dealing with the same thing, right? I mean, both of them are both serious things. And I think that what this means for Hollywood is it shows the sick nature of Hollywood, and it shows that whether you have riches and fame, whether you have a lot of clout, whether you can, have the power to go wherever you want to go, do whatever you want to do, it definitely shows that you still have problems. And not only do you still have problems, but the money and the power and the fame and etc., they are not, you could say, emotionally fulfilling. Of course. The book of Ecclesiastes, it's a book in the Bible, and it talks about how money and riches and power, and it goes into detail of all of the gratifications of life are all vanity. It talks about the vanities of vanities, and money is vanity. Traveling, going to different places, place to place is vanity. All of these different quantities are vanities. And I think what these deaths are definitely showing us as average, everyday people is that though these people have everything to live with, they also desperately don't have almost anything to live for. They have everything to live with and almost nothing to live for. They don't have a reason for getting up in the morning. They don't have a reason to actually continue going on. Maybe it could be, when people get famous, their circles relatively do get bigger, but their circles, the group of people, their friends, they don't have any value to them. They might have a lot of yes men around them. They might have a lot of, so-called friends around them. And so a lot of people are saying with Mac Miller, didn't he have friends? Didn't he have family? Didn't he have people who could have reached out to him and helped him out? I don't know. But from what I've seen from people who are rich and successful and powerful, is that they don't necessarily have close friends like you and I. A lot of the friends they have around them are not necessarily friends for the sake of friendship, but rather they're friends for the sake of financial benefit or maybe social status, social benefit. So they don't necessarily have friends in the same way that you and I have friends that add value to our lives. So that could have been the case with Meg Miller. So what does his death mean for Hollywood? Like I just said, definitely it's given us a deeper look into what being famous or what being revered is truly like from people who are on the outside looking in. Hollywood has shown us again and again, it is a very unhealthy and very sick environment. And there definitely is a true problem in Hollywood as far as individual people who destroy themselves from the inside out. I also want to say too, you guys know Boom Gang. Well, you guys might know Boom Gang. Boom Gang. Look him up. Google him. At first I thought he was a rapper. He's not a rapper. He actually is an Instagram, or you could say social media personality. So Boom Gang, if you don't know, he was a guy who people would record him basically doing skits where he would go in the stores and he would steal something. And so Boonk actually is a slang term. It means to steal. And so Boonk would go in and he would boost or he would steal something. And it would be kind of funny. Not going to lie. It would actually be entertaining. And he got famous off of that. And then with the fame came the money. And so recently, some series of events happened where he basically was going down a downward spiral. And even more recently, Wildheart 666 said, talking about rappers, my specialist subject. Not really. I'm very white and very uncool. Hey man, nothing wrong with not being on the up and up. Nothing wrong with not being in the loop. But Boom Gang, he's not a rapper. He's more like a social media personality. And some serious events happened where, oh my gosh, he was basically just high out of his mind on an interview. Then after that event happened, there was another series of events that happened where on his Instagram account, he posted a sex tape of himself. Yay. And his Instagram got shut down after that. And so what happened recently is he actually has had some events happen where he actually has been turning his life around. He's actually been thinking about his life more and thinking about the decisions he's made. So recently he actually, I think he was in Washington or Chicago, and he was giving out food to people there. To the less fortunate, he was giving out food and he was handing out waters and stuff. And, in more of his recent videos, it appears to be that he isn't doing drugs anymore, and he's definitely doing a whole 180. He changed his name from Boom Gang to John, I think it's John Kababa. He changed his name. His name is not Boom Gang anymore, guys. Now his name is... Looking at the wrong thing. I think it's John Kababa or John Kababa. His name is John Gabbana. Not John Kababa. John Gabbana. So he changed his name. He's focusing on being more positive and doing more things with life. And so all of that to say that you do have those celebrities who sometimes they just need a wake-up call. And that wake-up call causes these celebrities and these rappers and entertainers to go in a different direction, and they actually pave a better path for society. Perfect example is Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr. He was not always how he is today. Robert Downey Jr. used to be a really big drug addict, and he went from being a drug addict to, I think he was an alcoholic, and then he did jail time. And it was, him going in and out of jail, back to back to back to back to back. And so he finally gets out of jail, and they give him the role of Iron Man. Marvel gives Robert Downey Jr. the role of Iron Man, and I'm happy they did. Because not only does he fit the character, but it was in that decision that Robert Downey Jr. had a chance to mature and actually walk into true manhood. And now he's a role model for kids everywhere. Every kid you can think of, everybody wants to be like Iron Man. Everybody wants to be like Robert Downey Jr. You could say Robert Downey Jr. and Iron Man are one and the same person. Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man. He embodies that character so well because there are some real similarities between Robert Downey Jr. and Tony Stark. Tony Stark, when you first start out in the Avengers series, he's a narcissistic man who doesn't care about anybody else, and he always is justifying his actions when it comes to his crimes of, his crimes of war, you could say. Also, if you guys don't know, Tony Stark was a really big alcoholic. They don't really show that in the Avengers movies per se, but in the comics, yes, Tony Stark is an alcoholic. But you see, even in the MCU, where Tony Stark, he starts from being this narcissistic man, this really narcissistic and selfish man, to now in Avengers 3, where he's thinking about other people more, and he's willing to lay down his life for the universe. And you do see those stark similarities between Tony Stark and Robert Downey Jr. And so that's another example of how celebrities, they do drugs and they do all these crazy things, but every once in a while, you do have a celebrity who actually makes their way out of a dark path. You do have those celebrities who actually come toward the light and start making better decisions. And who's to say that people like Mac Miller, who's to say that Lil Peep, who's to say that all of these rappers and entertainers and celebrities who did die of drug overdoses in the past, who's to say that if given enough time, they wouldn't have turned out like Robert Downey Jr.? We can't say that. We can't not say that. We can't be going on the internet and making fun of these celebrities because they're going through things. They're everyday people too. They're human. They go through things just like we go through. And it was really distasteful when I was on the internet and people were downplaying the Mac Miller thing. People were downplaying this man's death. People laughing at his death. People talking bad about him and his death, as if he knew that he was going to die that day. I had a neighbor. He was around the same age as me. And a couple years ago, he passed away. Now, up and until then, when my neighbor did die, I really didn't know what to think about people who died because of like opioids or drug addiction. And I wasn't necessarily really close to him, but all I can say is just the look on his mother's face the day of the funeral. Oh, I will never forget the look on her face. It was just a look where it was the type of pain that this woman will probably feel for as long as she will ever live. It's not something that you get over. It's not something you overcome. She will live with this forever, losing her child. And it is a bad experience to go through. Yeah, it's not good. I didn't know how to feel about people who died from drug overdoses or opioids and stuff. And now, I guess what I would say to anybody who is going through that is, I think a way that we can help people overcome these situations is we need to let people know who are going through drug addiction or opioid crises and stuff like that. We need to let them know that it's not just themselves worried about. It's not just their personal health that they should be worried about. Yes, opioids are not healthy for you. You could die. But maybe, just maybe, Mac Miller had a relationship with his mother. I'm not sure how good their relationship was, but I'm guessing, they had some form of communication, and a mother loves her son. She recently posted a picture of Mac Miller and her at a baseball game in memorial of him. And I guess if I could just have a conversation with Mac before he died, one, I will let him know that if you do that, this will be the last time you ever get high because you're going to pass away. And I'll also leave ringing in his ears that he shouldn't just be concerned about himself, but think about your mother. Think about how your mother would feel. Somebody said, Mac ain't no role model. Jesus is. And somebody says it means business as usual for the entertainment industry. I mean, yeah, but it doesn't have to be. These things don't have to be just some normal everyday things. Oh, well, a rapper when he did drugs, the end. Like I was saying, these entertainers can make a big impact. John Gabbana, first of all, I made an Instagram post, and hopefully people share it. I'm so proud of him. I'm so proud of him. He turned his life around. And yeah, like he turned his life around in a couple of weeks. But isn't that a good thing? Why does it take some near-death experience for people to understand the things I'm not doing are bad and I need to change? Thank God he didn't have to go through that. Thank God he didn't have to go through a life-threatening experience so he could change his life around. Thank God he didn't have to go through a car accident. Thank God that he didn't almost die so he could understand, man, I need to start living a better life. Now, some people find different reasons for living a better life. Some Christians say, hey, I need to stop living a life of sin, and I understand that Jesus wouldn't want me to live this way. I understand that I'm not emulating Jesus, living this lifestyle, let me change. Some people, they find their higher hope for living in their family, their friends, their fans, like entertainers. So, I mean, most definitely, maybe it could be like somebody just said in the comments, pride comes before a fall. Yeah, entertainers and rappers, in general, they're not people to look up to. But what if they are? What if they could be? What if, even if we're just one rapper that kids could look up to, what if John Cabana was that rapper? I'm just saying. You never know. So I think we shouldn't be so harsh and so hasty with these entertainers and these rappers, and we shouldn't just say, oh, well, whatever. It's just business as usual. Oh, well, whatever. He died, and, so be it. Somebody said, hopefully Mac repented before he died. I don't really have anything to say on that. I don't know his relationship with God. I don't know, what he thought about God, what his beliefs were. That is between him and God. I don't know. I mean, you don't know either. But most definitely, we as fans, I mean, whenever our fan was doing good or whenever our fan was doing bad, we need to let our voices be heard. I mean, John Kamine, he's doing a really good job with turning his life around. So I made a video, so hopefully he sees it. And also, if he wasn't doing good, I would probably make a video on that too and tell him, hey, you need to get your act together. You need to get your life together. If you don't, you're going to hurt yourself or you might hurt other people. We as fans, of these people, we don't understand how much power we hold, and we can make our voices be heard so that these people can see and understand and hear us. So, somebody said Jesus is always a prime role model. Absolutely. Absolutely. Jesus is always a prime role model. But at the same time, we still, number one, as a Christian, we ourselves need to be role models to the world. But there are non-Christian people living in the world who are very good role models. Like I just said, I would consider Robert Downey Jr. to be a very good role model because it wasn't his oh so perfect life that makes him an exemplary role model. It was the fact that he wasn't living such a good life. It was the fact that where he came from, what he was doing, what he was before who he is now is just as important as who he is now. So I think we definitely need to take that into consideration. I did have somebody in here a couple of minutes ago. Somebody came in and left out, but somebody said, I'm no fan of no man. Jesus is how to walk. I agree. Jesus definitely is a good role model, but there are other people in the world who, are not Christians. And I would say they make pretty good role models as well. I would say there definitely can be people who they might hold Christian values and Christian principles, which is great, and they themselves are not even Christians. Anytime somebody has some type of you could say moral high ground that relates to Christianity, because Christianity is not the first say or the first voice on what is moral, because Christianity did not always exist. But whenever somebody has morals that relate to Christianity and they themselves are not even a Christian, I think that would definitely strengthen the Christian message even more. Now, somebody said, I'm not a Christian. You can still be a good person and I think it's a typo, you can still be a good person that isn't a Christian. It definitely depends on how you're using the word, but I think I know what you're trying to say. So yeah, you can live a good life and you can definitely be a good role model without being a Christian. Absolutely. So just wanted to have this hang out this video on my thoughts of Mac Miller, my thoughts on the entertainment industry, my thoughts on Hollywood. We definitely need to keep these rappers and entertainers and singers in our prayers. If you don't like what they're doing, number one, try and find a way you can contact them. Try and find a way you can reach out to these people so you can talk to them. We got social media. We got Facebook, Instagram, etc. You can go on different platforms and get in touch with their PR guys so you can have interviews. Somebody said, statistically, non-Christians are more moral than Christians in general. I would say that humanity as a whole needs to work on their moral decision making. Not just Christians. I would say everybody, Christian and non-Christian alike. We all have a moral dilemma because we all, at some point, one way or another, have all made an immoral decision in our life. But that's exactly why we need Jesus. So I'm agreeing with you in a way. The only, like chaos theory would agree, the only moral person, the only holy, or moral person in whole would be Jesus Christ. But we definitely need to be a light to these celebrities, these entertainers, as Christians, and even as regular people, right? Even as regular people, we need to be a light to these celebrities. We need to let these celebrities know. We need to let these entertainers know, these really high up people know that we're tired of seeing them use our money and use us as a way to raise them up and let us down. Because without the fans, they would be nothing. Without the people going out to their concerts or buying their albums and et cetera, they wouldn't be where they're at today. Wildheart66 said, yeah, I agree. You agree with what I said about all humans, all this work. We have a moral dilemma. He says, yeah, I agree, except the Jesus part. What I don't understand, and this is one thing I was talking about on the Non Sequitur show. You agree with everything I said except for the Jesus part. But it's the Jesus part and what I just said that brings the whole, you could say, argument, I guess. It brings it all together. It fits the whole pieces. It fits all the pieces of the puzzle perfectly together. It's because of Jesus that we know that we can have peace with God. And what so like on a theological level, if Jesus did not die on the cross for our sins, and you understand that all humans have a moral dilemma, we can't have peace with God if a God does exist. If there is a God that does exist, if a theistic God does exist, and that God himself is holy and moral and etc., the only way that people can have peace with God is through Jesus Christ. Somebody said, tell your family not to listen to these ungodly singers using satanic influence, cut evil off by the rule. So no, we in no way listen to singers and entertainers who are immoral, but every singer and every entertainer, every actor is not, living an evil lifestyle, not living a wicked lifestyle. There are rappers and actors and celebrities and entertainers and people who do live righteous lives. And maybe they might know who God is. Maybe they might not. That's not really what this conversation is all about. So somebody says, if you don't believe in Jesus or God, it doesn't mean as much, though. If you don't believe in Jesus, I would say your theology doesn't necessarily make sense as far as your, what would I say, your moral philosophy. So if you don't believe in Jesus, no, you can still live a moral life, right? You can still go and you can do good things. But what I'm saying is, as far as how you reconcile the fact that God exists and you can somehow be in relationship with God, or you can somehow come into, what's the word? It is a word. You can come into theosis. If Jesus does not exist, you can't come into theosis with God. You can't become one with God. You can't have a relationship with God, being that you're immoral, because you're not like God. God can only interact. He can only bring unto himself. That is what is life himself. Theosis is oh gosh, I really don't even want to get into this. Theosis is something you can look up online. You can Google it, Wikipedia, whatever. But then you'll probably understand what I'm trying to explain. But no, if you don't believe in Jesus, You can still live a good life and all that good stuff, but your theology definitely will be faulty, because as far as I know, as I see it, I would say that Jesus, the concept of Jesus, the idea of Jesus, the theology of Jesus definitely does bring those broken pieces of philosophy and theology together. You have all these other religions where you have to do, and philosophically, when Christianity comes along, Christianity is like, no, you don't have to do, you don't have to work, you don't have to do these things because it's already been done. Because philosophically, morally, you've already been tainted, you've already done evil, you already have a moral dilemma. So the only way you can be reconciled is through the perfect work of this Redeemer. So that's how Christianity would be different. But I think I'm done. I kind of been on here way too long. But those are my thoughts. Keep Mac Miller's families in your prayers. Keep entertainers in your prayers. Keep, these famous people in your prayers. They are normal human beings just like you and me, and they still need help. They still have problems. And yeah, because reasons. All right, guys, I'm out. You can tell I'm tired because I'm not even fully finishing my sentences. I need to go to bed. All right, guys.